The upcoming session is on the Indo-Pacific vision and China, a theater of potential conflict that has the attention of the world presently. The first lecture will be delivered by Dr. Christopher Snedden, an eminent Australian academic, analyst, and author, who will speak on the Indo-Pacific region and its unstated intention to counter the rising great power of China. Over to you, Dr. Snedden, and welcome.
Thank you very much, Mr. Manoharan, and it's a delight for me to be talking to you in New Delhi. Today, I wanted to talk to you about the Indo-Pacific region, and I've said amorphous. It's a bit broad and uncertain and vague, ambiguous, and some people are even, including me, a little skeptical about what this region is and what it's meant to do. Is there an Indo-Pacific vision will be the second part of my lecture, and then thirdly, talking about some perceptions about limiting the role of China in this so-called region, particularly by, as Mr. Manoharan mentioned, the quadrilateral security dialogue between Australia, India, Japan, and the United States. And that really is what the Indo-Pacific region is about. It's a maritime concept, essentially. Put simply, it's a maritime conception that connects some, not all, but some of the nations involved in two of the world's major oceans, and they are in particular the Pacific Ocean, which is the world's largest ocean, and the Indian Ocean, which is the world's third largest ocean. Is there an Indo-Pacific vision? Now, by talking about this, we will get to know more about what this so-called region is or isn't. But the Indo-Pacific, or those who believe or propagate this sort of concept, supposedly doesn't target any one state or prevent any one state being involved. However, by being essentially a maritime concept, an obvious but unstated vision or a unifier for this concept is that it focuses on the sea, not on land. In other words, it largely ignores the Asian landmass. Now, significantly, there's two nations that don't particularly like that ignorance or that being ignored. That, of course, is China, which is the world's third largest nation by area, and Russia, which is the world's largest nation by area. Arguably, and this is where we do have an argument, the concept is also about limiting or containing a rising China. Even though people in the Indo-Pacific say it's not addressed against any one particular nation, it seems that part of the concept is to include others and encourage others, and to also, by doing that, limit or perhaps even contain the rise of China. So containment is, it's come out of the Cold War. It was a Cold War paradigm where the US sought to contain or keep isolated or surround, if you like, the Soviet Union by surrounding it with US allies and US military assets. Now, we haven't got to that stage formally in terms of the Indo-Pacific, but it's something that China believes may be a possibility. Perhaps most significantly, should the Quad move to a Quad Plus type of arrangement that included, say, Vietnam, South Korea, Indonesia, the Philippines, and so on, and should this have a focus on a military cooperation or even joint operations type of functions, then perhaps China may have something to worry about. Like all strategic issues, it remains to be seen.
Thank you, Dr. Snedden. I will now ask the first person to ask the question. I think she is from the Sensipan Center for Advanced Learning, Persis Mehra.
My question to you would be, do you think India has been hesitant to extend a formal invitation to Australia to join the Malabar exercises in order to not end up triggering China's aggressive behavior further, as India is the only country among the Quad which has a land boundary with China?
Getting to the stage where we're saying, well, who cares whether we antagonise China? It doesn't seem to matter what we do anyway. So it will be interesting to see whether India invites Australia. Welcome, Ambassador Salim.
While the Chinese are bringing in the BRI, why not we ease the tension by having more cooperation, collaboration of projects within the vicinity of the Indo-Pacific region?
Ambassador Salim, thank you. This is why I think we not only need ASEAN, but this is the benefit of ASEAN, because you are always talking about inclusivity and compromise and cooperation. And I salute ASEAN for that. People complain, particularly Americans, that ASEAN is very slow moving. Yes, but you have slowly moved and created something quite extraordinary. So I agree. One of the challenges for my particular nation, Australia, and also for the nation in which I taught for 5 years, the United States, is the way that they look at strategic complexity. I don't think Australia, many Australians and many Americans handle strategic complexity terribly well. It's fairly black and white. You're either with us or against us. I think India and China both handle strategic complexity much better. Their strategic circumstances are much more difficult than either the United States or Australia. And I think ASEAN it handles strategic complexity brilliantly by inclusivity. And I agree that we should be looking to do